Welcome to Lost Relation Chronicles. I still remember the way Sabrina used to smile at me like I was the center of her universe. That crooked grin of hers, always just a little late to reach her eyes, once felt like sunlight piercing through a storm. But if you asked me now what it truly meant, I'd tell you this. It was practiced, and I was too blind to see it. 2 years into our marriage, the foundation of everything we built began to decay, silently, like wood rotting from within. We met later in life, both in our mid-30s, drawn together by late nights at the architecture firm where we worked. She was magnetic, beautiful in a quiet, effortless way, wearing confidence as if it were her signature scent. She often spoke of a simple life, children, a dog, a garden. And when we got married, she left her job to become a homemaker. It seemed like that was her dream, and I believed her. Our house was always immaculate. I'd come home to meals I never asked for, the scent of lemon polish lingering in the air, and the faint hum of her voice drifting from the kitchen. At first it was endearing, then it became too perfect, like she was crafting an image she knew I'd hold on to for years. Still, I thought I was happy. We were trying for a baby, or so she told me. Month after month, she'd say it wasn't happening. Her disappointment etched deep. I never questioned it, never pushed too hard. She seemed heartbroken each time. But what I failed to see was that her sorrow wasn't over a baby. It was over the man she couldn't let go of. The truth began to unravel one night when I worked late. A co-worker, Mira, insisted I join her for an impromptu dinner party. I texted Sabrina to let her know, half expecting frustration, but her response was sweet. She told me I deserved a break, urged me to have fun, and even offered to warm up dinner when I got home. I smiled at her message, thinking, God, I married the most incredible woman. And then on my way home, I saw her walking past, the quiet stretch of Fifth and Dover. I caught a glimpse of a familiar figure beneath the amber glow of a street lamp. She was laughing, head tilted back, her hand entwined with someone else's, Sabrina, with a man I didn't recognize. They didn't see me. I stood frozen behind a bus shelter, my heart lodged in my throat, every breath snagging like a fishhook in my ribs. It wasn't just the hand-holding. It was her face, that same crooked smile. But this time, it reached her eyes. My world fractured. I stumbled home like a man wading through deep water, everything muffled, distant. Every word she'd ever said about love, loyalty, building a life together, it all felt hollow now, like a bell cracked down the center. But I didn't confront her that night. I didn't even acknowledge what I had seen. I just sat in the dark while she slept beside me, undisturbed, as if nothing had changed. But something had, something irreversible. The days that followed were a slow-motion nightmare. I started noticing things I'd once dismissed. Password changes, new lingerie tucked away, in drawers she never used. A sudden interest in skincare products she used to call overpriced nonsense. Subtle details, but together damning. Then one morning she made a mistake. While she was in the shower, she left her phone unlocked. I wish I could say I hesitated, that I wrestled with my conscience, but I didn't. My fingers moved instinctively, and within seconds I found everything, every lie. Text messages, sweet and seductive, naked in their intimacy. Photos of them curled up in hotel beds, sharing desserts, sun-drenched selfies from rooftop bars, my wife radiant in the arms of another. Man, and then, the worst of it, a conversation about an upcoming weekend getaway, a luxury spa retreat, a celebration of their 1-year anniversary. 1 year, I sat in our living room staring at the screen, watching the woman I loved melt into a collection of pixels whispering sweet nothings to someone else. I felt gutted, hollowed out. That night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to trace every memory back to the moment she stopped loving me. The next morning, Sabrina kissed me on the cheek and casually mentioned she'd be visiting her old friend Camille on Wednesday. I nodded, pretending not to know the truth. She looked vibrant, more alive than she had in months. And now I knew why. I smiled and said, "I hope you have fun." Inside, I was already planning how to shatter her world. The next day I called in sick, claiming a dental emergency. She left early, suitcase in hand, the scent of her perfume lingering in the air like a ghost. I stood at the window, watching her walk away, each step another lie. That afternoon, when her check-in and text arrived, Camille says, "Hi, so good to catch up." I replied with a simple thumb up and pretended I was busy at the office. Meanwhile, I had already hired a private investigator. He had been tailing her since she left at 6:45 p.m. The first photo arrived within the hour. Sabrina, poolside, wrapped in a robe, a glass of wine in hand, and beside her the same man I had seen on the street that night. They were kissing. I stared at that photo for hours. This wasn't just betrayal. It was annihilation. She wasn't my wife anymore. She was a stranger wearing her skin. The next morning she texted again. "Hey love, hope you're eating okay. My card's not working. Can you transfer some money?" That was the moment I flipped the switch. I replied, "It's not working because I disabled it. Ask your boyfriend to pay for it." Her response was immediate, feigning confusion. "What? I told you I'm with Camille. Why would you say something like that?" I laughed out loud. A low, bitter sound. The sound of a man who had finally stopped bleeding and started sharpening his knives. And that's when I started crafting the most painful personal revenge I could think of. One that would unravel her perfectly curated lies strand by strand until she was left standing barefoot in the wreckage she created. Her texts kept coming. "Nolan, what the hell is going on?" I stared at the screen. Nolan? That was my name? The odd man she had vowed to honor to build a life with. And now she was texting me from a hotel bed she shared with another man, asking me to fund her betrayal. I let her sweat. The private investigator, Noel, had delivered a gold mine. Photos, receipts, even a discreet video from the hotel restaurant. Sabrina, in that red floral dress I had bought her for our anniversary, feeding a fork full of steak into her lover's mouth while he kissed her wrist. His name was Chase Brooks, a mid-level executive from a tech company across town. Married, 2 kids, 41, slim, polished, a walking cliché of temptation in a tailored blazer, and he had absolutely no idea who he was screwing with. I didn't respond to Sabrina for hours. I wanted the silence to eat her alive. Around midnight, she called. I declined. She called again. I declined again. Then my phone buzzed once more. A voicemail. Her voice trembled. "Nolan, I don't know what's going on. I didn't mean to lie. I didn't want you to worry. I'm not with Camille. I needed time alone. Please call me back. I love you. I played it twice. The second time I laughed. You love me, the way a vulture loves a dying animal." "Maybe," I finally texted back, my words like ice. "I already know where you are. I've seen everything. Enjoy your last night." No reply. That weekend I moved out. I had spent weeks quietly transferring my essentials, documents, my laptop, heirlooms into a storage unit I paid for in cash. The apartment we once called home felt tainted, like the scent of her perfume had sunk into the walls. I left an envelope on the dining table. Inside, divorce. Papers, screenshots, a letter. It simply read, "I'm not the fool you thought I was, Nolan." Then I walked out, silent, controlled. No tears. By Monday, she was back. I knew the second she stepped into that empty apartment and saw the note. My phone rang immediately. I didn't answer. Then, again and again, I let her torment build. At 3:15 p.m., she left a voicemail, anger seeping through her fake innocence. "Nolan, this is cruel. You just left. You didn't even talk to me. You're being dramatic over nothing. Nothing." The word made my blood boil. When she called again, I picked up. My voice was ice. "You lied to me for over a year, slept in my bed while loving another man, and now you want to tell me this is dramatic." She started crying, soft at first, then louder, manipulative. "I didn't mean for it to happen. You were always so distant lately." I felt alone. Chase listened to me. There it was, the switch. The moment she tried to make me the villain in her story. I smiled coldly. "Distant. I worked late nights to pay for that spa you used to cheat on. Me." Silence. Then a whisper. "So this is it." I didn't respond. "Nolan, please," she begged. "Let's talk in person." "Please just hear me out." "You don't deserve a conversation," I replied. "You deserve consequences." Then I hung up. The next step was Chase. I wasn't going to let him walk away untouched. No, he built his house on my broken promises, and it was time to burn it down. 3 days later, I met his wife, Evelyn Brooks. I dressed casually, clean, presentable. Then I showed up at her yoga studio during her lunch break, waiting respectfully, outside. When she stepped out, sipping a green juice, I spoke softly. "Hi, are you Evelyn Brooks?" She paused, wary. "Yes, I'm Nolan Reed." A beat of silence. "Then I'm Sabrina's husband." Her face drained of color. 10 minutes later, we sat on a bench beneath an old oak tree in the park. I didn't shout. I didn't accuse. I simply handed her a sealed envelope. Inside, everything. She flipped through the contents, photos, messages, hotel bookings. The last page was a note I had written in block letters. "He's been cheating on you with my wife for over a year." Evelyn didn't cry. She only whispered, "I thought it was just me, that I was crazy." I nodded slowly. "You weren't." Then I stood. "I'm sorry. I know this hurts, but you deserve to know." She clutched the folder to her chest like it was the only thing holding her together, and I walked away. I didn't look back. 2 days later, Sabrina showed up at my new place. How she found my address? I'll never know. Probably hacked into an old delivery order or a shared account. I opened the door slowly. She looked awful. Bags under her eyes, hair tied in a messy bun, no makeup, wearing one of my old hoodies like it was armor. "Please," she whispered. "Don't shut me out." I didn't say a word. She stepped inside on her own, tears already gathering. Chase's wife found out. She left, took the kids. He blames me for everything. He says I ruined his life. I leaned against the wall, arms folded. "You did ruin someone's life." "Mine?" She looked at me then, truly looked, and I saw something new. Panic, Nolan. I never wanted this. I stayed quiet. He said he loved me. He promised we'd be together if his wife ever left. Now he won't even answer my texts. I gave up everything for him. I tilted my head slightly. "No, you gave up me and now you're paying the price." She stepped forward, reaching for my hand. I stepped back. "Don't." Her breath hitched. "Don't even pretend to care now. You can't just throw away 2 years," she cried. "You threw them away first." Then I picked up the final piece of my revenge. From the table, I grabbed the manila envelope and handed it to her. "What is this?" "Open it." Inside, a letter and a copy of the legal complaint. I filed for intentional infliction of emotional distress, along with an official notice from her university friend Camille, the one she had lied about seeing. The letter read, "To whom it may concern." I did not see Sabrina Reed at any time between March 12th and 17th. Any claims otherwise are false. Sabrina dropped the paper like it burned her. "Yeah, you planned all of this." "No, Sabrina," I said softly. "You did." She stood frozen in my living room, her mouth slightly open, like the air had just been knocked out of her lungs. The envelope trembled in her hands. She hadn't expected this. She thought I'd rage, scream, maybe even break down. But I wasn't, giving her the satisfaction of emotion. No, I was giving her consequences. This is cruel," she finally muttered. I let out a breath. cruel. I took a step forward, voice calm. Cruel is watching your wife lie to your face while she kisses another man's neck in a hotel elevator. Cruel is coming home to the smell of sandalwood and wine and wondering if she was just having a drink with a friend or screwing someone else. Cruel is pretending not to see it because you're terrified of what the truth might shatter. She looked down, shoulders folding inward. I wasn't done. But now I continued. Now I know. And now you get to feel what it's like to be the one left wondering. She tried again. I messed up. Nolan, I know that. I panicked. You were always working and I stop. My voice was sharp. Don't you dare justify it. I took another step back, shaking my head. You didn't just mess up. You built a life around your betrayal. You lied for over a year. You made me believe we were trying for a baby while planning spa weekends with him. Her eyes welled up. I didn't care. Her tears were currency she'd already spent on someone else. I exhaled, voice cold. Leave. We're done. But she didn't move. Instead, she sat on the edge of the couch like she was trying to reclaim a space that no longer belonged to her. She sounded broken and defeated. I've lost everything. My friends, my reputation, they know. Evelyn posted everything on social media. My inbox is full of people calling me a liar and a home wrecker. I didn't respond. I wouldn't comfort her. I wasn't her husband anymore. I was her reckoning. She cried harder. I can't go back to my job, Nolan. Her voice was raw. They saw it. My former boss emailed me and told me not to bother reapplying. He said it's a bad look for the firm. I didn't blink. That's not my problem. Her frustration cracked through. I was stupid. She shouted. I thought I was falling in love with someone new, but it was just lust. It wasn't real. You were real. You always were. I stepped closer, voice dropping to a whisper. Funny. I used to say the same thing about you. Her face crumpled, and I watched her break. But I wasn't done yet. The next day, I met with my lawyer, Jennifer Walters, a no-nonsense woman with a silver tongue and sharper instincts. She had handled nasty divorces before. But when I laid everything out in front of her, the compiled evidence, texts, images, timelines, even proof of Sabrina's financial transactions, using my money to fund those getaways, she simply smiled. This is airtight, she said. You'll walk away clean. I didn't hesitate. I want her to walk away with nothing. Mia didn't flinch. Then that's what we'll do. We filed a petition to freeze the joint accounts and submitted documentation proving Sabrina's financial misuse. Since most of the assets, the condo, my stocks, my car were in my name, she had no leverage. Sabrina, once so poised and proud, was now fighting to survive in a world she had scorched herself. But I wasn't done. Not yet. A week later, I paid a visit to her parents. They had always liked me. In fact, they had once called me the best thing that ever happened to Sabrina. I waited until her father, Victor, was alone on the porch before I approached. He looked up, startled. Nolan? I nodded. I won't stay long, but I thought you should know the truth before she paints a different picture. Then I handed him a folder. He flipped through it, his expression tightening with every page. By the time he reached the last one, he didn't say a word, just rubbed his face and muttered, "Go damn." I exhaled. She'll tell you I left her without reason, that I gave up. I met his eyes, but I didn't. She did. Victor nodded slowly. I believe you. I had always warned her. Don't mistake comfort for weakness. You didn't deserve this. Victor muttered, but it wasn't about vengeance anymore. It was about truth. Making sure that every corner she tried to retreat to had already been illuminated. No hiding, no sympathy, only facts. That weekend, I threw away the last box of her things, and that's when something unexpected happened. I cried, not because I missed her, but because I realized I had stopped missing her. I cried for the man I used to be, the one who believed love was enough, the one who brought flowers on random Tuesdays and wrote letters during meetings because he missed his wife, That man had died the night I saw her with Chase on the sidewalk. I cried for him and then I let him go. 2 days later, Sabrina called. I picked up out of curiosity. Her voice was flat, hollow, like the last of her tears had dried up, leaving nothing but bitterness. "You really think you've won, huh?" I smiled. "This isn't a game, Sabrina. But if it were, yes, I've already won." Her breath hitched. "You ruined my life." "No, Sabrina, you did that. I just made sure no one missed the show." Silence. "Then I'll fight this." "I hope you do," I said calmly, "because I've got lawyers who love a fight, especially when the other side's got nothing left but a story no one believes." I hung up. Later that night, a message popped up from an unknown number. "Chase," a single line. "You had no right." I replied, instantly. I had every right. And then I attached the photo, him kissing Sabrina at the hotel spa. Time-stamped, dated, undeniable, no response. I never heard from him again, but I didn't need to. The silence was confirmation that I had cut him just as deep. It had been nearly 2 months since I left Sabrina, but the aftershocks of her betrayal still echoed in strange moments. In the stillness of morning coffee, I'd sometimes hear her laugh, in the back of my mind until I remembered it was fake. Every intimate moment we ever shared was now blurred with doubt, and yet I was beginning to breathe again. Peace returned slowly, cautious like a wounded animal. I started running in the mornings, therapy once a week. I even reconnected with my brother, the one I hadn't spoken to in nearly a year, because I'd been too consumed with Sabrina. She tried calling a few more times. I ignored her. Then came the emails, desperate, apologetic, then angry, then apologetic again. A classic cycle of guilt and manipulation, one I had finally become immune to, and then the email that almost made me laugh out loud. "Nolan, I've lost everything. My parents won't even speak to me. Chase has completely disappeared. I don't even know where he lives now. I have no job, no friends. I just want to start over. I know I messed up, but can we meet? Just once. One real conversation. Closure if nothing else." Closure. She was asking for closure from a man she'd buried alive. I drafted a reply. "You don't want closure, Sabrina. You want forgiveness." "But I'm not your priest. I'm the grave. You dug for your old life. I didn't send it. I didn't have to. Some ghosts are better left haunting the living." That week, Maya called. "She's contesting the divorce," she said flatly. "She doesn't have grounds," I replied. "We both know that. She knows it too. She's trying to delay it. She's requesting mediation." My jaw clenched. Let her waste her time. I'll bring the receipts. A week later, I arrived at the downtown office, early, suited, head clear. Sabrina arrived late, disheveled. The confidence she once wore like armor was gone, replaced by worn-out excuses and smeared mascara. She barely looked at me. Good. Maya went first, laying out the case with calm precision, documented infidelity, financial misconduct, emotional manipulation. She cited my evidence like bullets in a loaded chamber. Sabrina tried to argue. I was emotionally neglected. The mediator, a gray-haired woman with eyes like knives, didn't flinch. "You committed sustained infidelity, Miss Reed. That is not neglect. That is cruelty. Once, Sabrina said nothing. By the end, it was clear. No alimony, no split of assets. She walked away with her clothes, a few keepsakes, and the echoes of a home. She burned down herself, and I walked out a free man. 2 weeks later, a letter arrived, handwritten, from Evelyn Brooks, Chase's wife. "Nolan, you didn't just save me. You woke me up. I would have spent years blaming myself, trying to fix him, but you gave me the truth. That's more than most people ever get. I filed for divorce, took the kids, started my own business. Just wanted you to know you're not the only one who came out stronger." Gratefully, Evelyn, I held the letter like it was gold. This was justice, Not courtroom victories, not public shame. Liberation. 3 months passed. I had settled into a quiet life, a new apartment, a few new friends. I wasn't dating, not seriously. I wasn't ready, but I was learning to love my solitude. I started teaching. A night class. Introduction to Architectural Theory. My students were fresh-faced, hopeful. Every time I stepped into that lecture hall, I remembered what it felt like to build something that mattered. One night after class, I stopped at a small Italian cafe I'd never noticed before. The woman behind the counter handed me a cappuccino, with a smile that wasn't forced. "Rough day?" she asked. I chuckled. "You could say that." "Want to talk about it?" I looked at her. Honest eyes, no games. Maybe someday. Her name was Eva. She didn't know a single thing about my past, and that felt like hope. Meanwhile, Sabrina was falling apart. Publicly, an old coworker, one of our few mutual friends, called me. "Have you seen her Facebook page?" I hadn't. I'd unfollowed her months ago, but curiosity got the better of me. Her once curated feed was now a graveyard of vague sadness. Photos of empty wine glasses, inspirational quotes, a selfie captioned, "Some people are only meant to teach you pain." Her comments were filled with pity from strangers and silence from those who knew the truth. She was alone truly, deeply, deservedly, but I didn't feel joy. I felt nothing. And nothing is more powerful than rage. Nothing is the final victory. Then one last email. Subject line, "You win. I'm moving. I need a fresh start. You were always right. I just didn't want to admit it. Maybe one day you'll forgive me, but I don't expect it. You don't owe me anything. I hope you're happy now, Sabrina." I didn't respond. There was no anger left, no revenge left to plan because I had already won. Not by breaking her, but by rebuilding myself. Sabrina didn't just cheat. She erased me piece by piece. But the thing about destruction, it clears the ground for something stronger. And in the end, I didn't just get justice, I got freedom. And freedom is the kind of revenge that leaves no blood behind. Only silence. The kind of silence that says, "You never broke me." Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.